Welcome to the TV Stories channel, where you will be immersed in magical tales of love, strange moments in life, and unexpected adventures. Today, we will step into a story where loneliness, courage, and humanity intertwine during a harsh winter. This is the story of Ethan, a 35-year-old man living quietly in a small house amidst snowy woods, where every evening passes peacefully yet coldly. But, like every magical story, his life will change forever on a snowy night when a fragile being appears in the freezing space. In his old car, with creaking wheels, Ethan drives along a snow-covered road. This winter is unlike any other. Everything seems to be wrapped in a layer of ice, and the chilly air seeps deep into the skin. White snow covers the bare branches, creating a lonely and cold scene. Ethan is used to a solitary life, with long, quiet nights when only the dim light from the forest shines quietly on the empty roads. But tonight, when the car's light flashes in the silent night, something strange appears in the sea of snow, something small, delicate, pinkish, flickering in the white snow, as if slowly sinking into the darkness. At this moment, Ethan's curiosity urges him to stop. And from that moment on, his life is never the same again. Follow the story of Ethan and the little girl in this harsh winter. Mysteries gradually unfold, and a new life full of challenges awaits them ahead. Ethan was a bit annoyed and said firmly, "Where did this come from?" as he was taking off the little girl's wet gloves, speaking briefly. "Put the kettle on, Mom," Clara said, but didn't say anything more. Ethan brought the water and raised it to the little girl's lips. She only swallowed twice and slightly opened her mouth. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Ethan asked gently. "Lily," the little girl whispered. "What were you doing in the forest, Lily?" Ethan asked. "With your dad?" "No, I was playing hide and seek with Dad, then he didn't come anymore," the girl replied. Ethan frowned. He couldn't imagine leaving a child alone in the forest. This was an unacceptable situation, and he decided he would report it to the police tomorrow. For now, the little girl needed care and food. In the kitchen, the smell of pancakes wafted out. This was the only dish Ethan could make quickly. Lily sat at the table, wrapped in a blanket, looking out the window. She ate slowly, chewing each bite carefully. Clara looked at her suspiciously, fingers fiddling with her wheelchair. "Is Mom okay?" Lily asked, looking at Clara. "No, Mom can't walk," Ethan answered. "Then where is my dad?" Ethan asked. The girl looked down and replied, "I don't know. Maybe he left me because I'm just a bother." Ethan felt a shiver. Clara coughed dryly but said nothing more. Inside Ethan there was a heavy feeling as if carrying a difficult burden. "You'll be safe here," Ethan said gently. "Eat or the food will get cold." An hour later, Amara arrived, her eyes warm and her smile tired. She visited Clara twice a week. Seeing Lily, she was surprised. "Who is this little girl?" "I found her in the forest. She fell and almost froze," Ethan explained. "We have to report to the police tomorrow." "The girl needs to be warmed up," Amara said. Amara checked Lily's forehead and found no fever, but she could still be cold. "I'll take care of her, Ethan. Where are you going?" "I'm going to the commune committee to ask what to do," Ethan replied. "You can bathe the girl if you want," Amara said, smiling. Ethan nodded. "Definitely. The girl needs a bath." When Ethan went outside, he lit a cigarette and looked up at the dark sky. Despite the cold biting his face, he felt nothing. All his thoughts were about his mother. For the past year, he had lived only to take care of his mother, dreaming of moving house. He also understood that the doctor had spoken about Clara's illness more seriously, and Ethan knew the doctor wanted him to stay close to his mother. The heavy feeling weighed on Ethan's mind, making him feel even more tired on the cold, snowy road. He tried not to think about those thoughts, but they kept crashing into his mind like broken fragments of childhood memories. When starting the car and putting his hand on the steering wheel, he recalled moments from his childhood. Clara's mother was always strict, and every day Ethan felt like he was living under a permanent sentence. Bad weather days, noisy neighbors, and Ethan, just a boy who never received any praise. He remembered when he was little, skinny limbs always injured whenever he had to carry firewood. He tried his best to please his mother, from fetching water from the well early in the morning, to his shoulders aching from carrying firewood into the house. But he never heard a word of praise from his mother. Instead, his mother looked at him with tired and judgmental eyes, saying, "No wife or children at all, Ethan. You will be lonely your whole life. Someone like you will have no place in this world." Those words pierced his heart like sharp thorns, causing him pain as he tried to push them away. He grew up feeling unworthy of happiness, with a fate that only involved work and days filled with exhaustion. Yet, moments when he could dream and listen to the desires from deep within his heart still occasionally appeared. Especially during school days, amidst the monotonous and dull life, a light appeared. When Ethan entered 10th grade, he truly noticed Maya for the first time. She sat across the desk, her long brown hair falling over her shoulders, her blue eyes as captivating as the sky. She was a quiet girl, not speaking much, but her warm smile made Ethan's heart beat faster. One day, after bravely deciding, Ethan approached her and asked about the physics homework. But she shyly lowered her head and ran away, leaving him standing there confused. When he got home, he happily told his mother, but Clara just remained silent and then started scolding. "Who would look at you, Ethan? A girl like her would never pay attention to you. Don't embarrass yourself." Those words felt like a slap to Ethan's face, leaving him silent, burying his feelings inside. Yet he could not forget Maya. During physics class, he no longer paid attention to the formulas but stared at Maya's notebook, where she carefully wrote every word. Once, the teacher caught him and scolded him in front of the class, giving him a low grade. The teasing laughter of his classmates made him ache, but he did not care. After class, Ethan waited for Maya under the old tree near the school gate. She appeared in a thin shirt, and Ethan hesitated but offered to walk her home. Unexpectedly, Maya agreed. They walked home together, and as the sunset fell, they strolled along the riverbank, where the water shimmered with a brilliant golden hue. Maya was not as cold as Ethan had thought. She was a gentle girl with a warm heart. She said she wanted to leave the city to become a doctor and help people. Ethan listened, and inside him a new feeling rose, as if something was blooming, strong and full of hope. For the first time in his life, Ethan believed that life was not just about work and his mother's opposition, but could be more beautiful, could be brighter. They continued to meet every day for a whole month. One evening they stayed by the riverbank longer than usual. They both went into an old house where the inside smelled musty to shelter from the cold wind. The story was interrupted, and when silence fell, their hands naturally found each other. Everything happened very quickly, as if by accident, the first time they were close in a shy and gentle moment. Ethan felt guilty, but at the same time incredibly happy, as if he had touched something forbidden yet magical. Maya said nothing, just turned her face away. She didn't know what to say. They left in silence, but in Ethan's heart, he clearly felt that he loved her with all his pure and sincere heart. The next day, Maya didn't come to school. Ethan waited for her under the old fallen leaf tree near the school, then went near her house, but didn't see Maya anywhere. The neighbor lady whispered to Ethan that Maya's mother had sent her to live with relatives in the city. "This news is spreading in the village," she said, looking at Ethan with deep eyes. Ethan returned home, his heart aching as if losing balance. When Clara heard the news, she blamed Maya's mother, saying that she wanted to get rid of Ethan and had taken her daughter away. Once, when meeting Maya's mother at the store, Clara loudly accused her of causing everything. Ethan didn't know whom to believe, but inside him, the wound of betrayal tormented him. He couldn't bear it anymore. He shouted at his mother, "You won't let me live! It's all because of you!" Clara clutched her chest, crying endlessly, but Ethan didn't stop. His mother's voice trembled, and he felt his heart could not accept it. Finally, Ethan decided to leave the village, go to the city, no matter what. He just wanted to escape this environment. One day, Ethan's father, who hadn't spoken a word for a long time, looked at him with understanding eyes for the first time. "You are my only son," he said, handing Ethan 1,000 tenge, the last money in his wallet. After half a year, Ethan's father came to the city. He brought a letter that Ethan's mother had hidden. "This is Maya's letter," he said, turning away to avoid Ethan's gaze. The fragile letters, with beautiful handwriting like jewels, were full of Maya's words about life in the city, about hardships, but also about missing the village and Ethan. She had written, "I don't want to go anywhere, Ethan. My mother said it was best for me." Ethan read the letters late into the night, his heart filled with longing and regret. He wanted to give up everything to find Maya, but then heard that she had married and moved elsewhere. 10 years passed, Ethan's father died, and he had to return to the village to take care of his mother, who had been paralyzed for several years. Life passed steadily, monotonously. One day, when entering the store, Ethan met Maya again. She came to visit relatives. Although many years had passed, looking into her tired eyes and the wrinkles on her face, they recognized each other immediately. "Ethan," she smiled, and in that smile the image of the girl from long ago lit up again. "Maya," Ethan whispered, his voice trembling. They stood there talking for a long time, recalling memories from their school days. Maya admitted that she had been afraid Ethan would be angry when she left. "I didn't want to leave," she said softly. That evening, they sat drinking tea at Ethan's house. She told him about the letters that his mother had hidden. Maya had said that she had no children, and her husband was a cruel man. Sometimes she wondered if she should leave at that moment, looking at the cup of tea in front of her. Their eyes accidentally met. That night, they found each other again, but this time not as children, but as adults carrying the burdens of the past. The next morning, Ethan woke up alone. At noon, he only found a short note. "Good luck, Ethan. Live happily." Maya had left. Only the scent and the emptiness remained in his heart. But that night, Ethan felt a new strength rising. For the first time in many years, he realized that he needed to live his own life. He had to move forward without looking back at the past. Autumn came, and life changed again. One day, when Clara was walking down the slippery stairs at the house entrance, she slipped and fell, dragging a heavy bag of potatoes. The loud noise was followed by a scream, then the silence of death. Ethan rushed outside and saw his mother's pale face, her body curled in pain. His heart tightened. At the district hospital, the doctors announced that her femur was broken, and there were severe complications. After surgery, Clara's legs were completely immobile. She was confined to a wheelchair. The mother, who had been difficult before, had now become a completely different person. Ethan voluntarily took care of his mother, feeding her, bathing her, changing the bed sheets, but his mother kept blaming him. "You don't need me," she muttered, pushing away the spoon he offered. Ethan remained silent, trying to suppress his emotions, but in his heart his mother had refused medication, seemingly wanting to retaliate against him. "Anyway, it doesn't matter. Why do you have to worry so much?" she often said. The only person he could rely on was Nurse Amara, who came from the district hospital. Every time Amara came, she encouraged him. "Don't worry too much, Ethan. She will get better." Sometimes his mother became gentler, but then quickly returned to being irritable. To Ethan, Amara was not just a nurse, but the only person helping him hold on to hope. Every time Amara came, they drank tea together, and she looked at him with comforting eyes. "You are strong, Ethan, but don't forget to take care of yourself," she always reminded him. Those words truly warmed his heart and gave him hope, but he didn't know what to do with that advice. However, real change only came when Lily visited the house. When Clara saw Lily, she suddenly erupted. With a trembling voice full of anger, she shouted, "What now?" "Don't bring her into the house," she continued. "Ethan, you don't need people like that." She threw the cup hard onto the floor, shattering it, like her patience breaking into pieces. Ethan could only grit his teeth, pull Lily away from his mother's anger, and lead her to his room. Lily trembled, clinging to him, her eyes full of worry. She knelt down gently and asked, "What's wrong, Lily?" The helpless girl. "Ethan, my father will beat me," she said. "He doesn't want me. He says I'm useless." She whispered, her voice trembling, resting her head on Ethan's shoulder. Ethan felt as if something inside him shattered. He gently stroked the girl's head. "You are never useless, understand?" he said. "No one here will hurt you." A short time later, the police found Lily's mother. They gave Ethan her mother's phone number. "Yes, I will come and pick her up," the woman said hurriedly before hanging up. Less than an hour later, there was a knock on the door. Ethan opened it and stood stunned. Standing at the door was Maya, the girl from years ago. Now her eyes were tired, and wrinkles lined the corners of her mouth. She also stopped when she saw Ethan, silent, then she softly called his name. "Ethan." In her eyes there was worry, confusion, and an indescribable feeling. "It must be you," Ethan exclaimed, his voice uncontrollable. Maya lowered her head. "This is my daughter." She spoke, head bowed, twisting the hem of her robe. She entered the house, looked around, her eyes fixed on the dark corners. "My husband took Lily out," she said. "Then he came back alone." "He ran away," Maya continued, her voice choking. "I searched for her, but—" She stopped, eyes looking at the image of Lily sleeping on the sofa. Ethan frowned. "You said you didn't have a child, right?" He said softly. "Don't tremble anymore." Maya lowered her head. I didn't want to lie, Ethan," she said, trying to explain. "Things have become much more complicated." She looked like a lost, confused person. Ethan looked at her, feeling not anger but pity. Lily was still sound asleep, curled up in the blanket, her skin glowing under the light. "Let her stay here. I'll take care of her until morning," Ethan said. Maya just nodded. "I will come back tomorrow." She stepped outside, leaving silence and thousands of unanswered questions in Ethan's mind. The next day, Maya returned. They sat in the kitchen drinking tea, while Lily played with the old doll Ethan had taken from the cupboard. Maya looked at the table, then began to tell her story. "My husband hated Lily from the moment she was born," Maya said, her voice filled with bitterness. "He waited until I gave birth to a daughter, then said he couldn't raise such useless children. He told me I was being punished, that I had deceived him." Her voice trembled, her hands gripping the edge of the table. "She is not my child," she said, then suddenly fell silent. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. He looked through the open door, where Lily was softly singing a song to her doll. Suddenly, he stopped, his gaze fixed on the girl's face. Her eyes were exactly like Maya's, but in them was a familiar determination. Her chin was just like Maya's when she was little, as he had seen in the mirror when he was a child. Ethan's heart pounded wildly, he could hardly breathe. A memory flooded back of that night, 10 years ago, when he and Maya sat by the river, Maya's silence then, the guilt and mixed happiness in his heart. Only then did he realize everything had come full circle, as if time had never passed. Maya looked up at him, her voice trembling. "She is my daughter, isn't she?" She looked into Ethan's eyes, tears falling like rain, unstoppable. She covered her face, trying to hold back her emotions. "Yes, Maya," Ethan whispered. "After that night, it was a month later that I found out, when I was in the city. My mother discovered and screamed," he continued. "Our whole family was humiliated," she said, "and then I was forced to hide everything. No one was allowed to know about this," she continued. "Then I met a guy. He said we should get married. I agreed, just to keep it a secret. He thought Lily was his daughter for a long time. But then he started to realize that the girl didn't look like him. That's when all hell broke loose." Ethan sat listening, inside him, all kinds of emotions tangled together. He moved closer to Maya, knelt beside her, and held her tightly in his arms. Maya burst into tears, her head resting on his shoulder. That moment felt like time was rewinding, the feelings of youth, the moments of emotional confusion resurfaced. "Why didn't you tell me?" Ethan whispered, his hand gently stroking her hair. "I was scared, Ethan," Maya replied. "I wanted to write to you, but my mother would take it away." "Then I lost all hope," she said, her voice choking up. Ethan stepped back a little, looking into her eyes. "I will never leave you," he said slowly, his voice full of tenderness and regret. Maya sobbed again. Then Ethan turned to look at Lily. The little girl knew nothing, playing with her doll, happy and innocent. This little girl, whom he found in the forest, was his daughter, the sweet fruit of that night. Ethan felt for the first time in his life that he was truly needed, as if he was someone loved. But now the father of this child, after learning the truth, had abandoned her, leaving her out in the cold. Ethan stood up and walked over to Lily. He knelt down, looked at her, and she looked back with a bright smile. "You definitely won't abandon me, like Dad abandoned Mom, right?" the girl whispered. Ethan shook his head, his eyes brimming with tears, his voice choked. "No, Lily, I will be here," he replied. "I will be here with you." At that moment, all the emotions inside him blended together. Anger at Maya's husband, relief that the truth was revealed, and the love he had for this little girl. This girl was now his daughter, and he would never let her feel unwanted. A week had passed since the truth was revealed, but for Ethan it felt like a lifetime. Every day he looked at Lily, his daughter, and felt a warm stream of emotions flowing through his heart. But within that flow, there were also traces of lost time, of years gone by. Maya, though still tired and confused, had a spark of hope shining in her eyes. She came every day, in the evening, when they sat in the kitchen drinking tea, while Lily sat drawing with colored pencils. They talked about past memories, lost moments, and things that could be mended. Ethan looked at her, his hand playing with a cup, gazing at her soft fingers. He understood that he would never let her go again. One evening, when the cold wind blew outside, in the warm room filled with the scent of hot tea, Ethan held Maya's hand. "We will live together, Maya. Let's be a real family," he said. Maya looked at him, her eyes filled with tears. But this time they were not tears of despair, but tears full of hope. She nodded softly, squeezing his hand. "I want that too, Ethan. It's what I've wished for most in my life," she whispered. The next day she packed her things, a simple suitcase, a few clothes, and Lily's toys. Her ex-husband, upon hearing the truth, did not object, signing the divorce papers coldly. "As for this daughter, I don't want her anymore," he said, abandoning the little girl. Those words felt like a knife stabbing Maya, but Ethan held her tightly and whispered, "She belongs to us now, only to us." After a long time, Lily smiled brightly for the first time, happy like a child. She ran to hug Maya tightly, then shouted excitedly, "Mom, we will always be together, right?" Maya, hiding her tears inside, replied, "Yes, my dear, we will always be together." Ethan looked at them, his heart filled with joy, a strange happiness rising, a feeling that finally soothed his heart. They had become a real family. Not perfect, made up of memories that cut across the past, but they are the most sincere things from the heart. However, their happiness is very fragile. Very quickly, the darkness of the past rises again. One day, in the morning, the door suddenly opened forcefully, and from the threshold, Maya's mother stepped in. She, a tall woman with a stern face, trembling with anger, tightly holding her handbag. "Maya, what are you doing?" she shouted. "Let go, Ethan. He is not worthy of you. Go back. It's not too late yet." Her words were like sharp knives. Maya turned pale, stepped back. Ethan stepped forward, shielding Maya, and said calmly but firmly, "This is her house. We are here. Please leave." Although his voice was patient, there was also a firmness that even he had never heard from himself. Maya's mother almost choked with anger. She shouted, "You will regret it," then slammed the door. The window remained silently closed. This scene also affected Clara. Before, she silently witnessed the changes in the house, but now she could no longer be patient. When she saw Ethan holding Lily, she could not keep calm anymore, shouted, "You are so selfish, Ethan. Have you forgotten your mother bringing a stranger into this house?" Her voice was full of anger, but beneath that anger there was a fear. She was afraid of loneliness. Ethan clenched his hand, looked at her, and said, "I am not abandoning you, but now I have my own family," he said, his voice firm but full of emotion. Clara wiped her tears, whispered softly, "Take me back to the old house, the house of my late husband. Take me there. I don't want to be a burden to anyone." The next day, Ethan took her back to the old house on the edge of the village. Clara sat by the window looking out at the silent, snowy yard, saying nothing. Ethan understood, although his heart was heavy, he could not live only for his mother's wishes. 1 month later. In mid-February, on Ethan's birthday, the house was filled with warmth. Maya had made a birthday card for him, maybe not perfect, but the heart she gave it with was sincere. The three sat at the dining table, laughing happily, and in that moment Ethan clearly felt the emptiness in his heart disappear. Just then there was a knock on the door. When he opened it, he stood still. In front of him was Clara, standing silently at the threshold. She wore an old coat, holding a cane in one hand and a small handbag in the other. Her usually stern face softened, her eyes glistening with tears. "Happy birthday, son," she said, her voice weak and uncertain. Then she stepped inside. She saw Maya setting the table, saw Lily running over, then saw Ethan's genuine smile that she had never seen before. Clara stood there, leaning on her cane, silently watching. But in her eyes something was changing. She looked at this family, at this warmth, and realized that she had been wrong many times. Over the years, she had poured all her worries and fear of loneliness onto her son, almost suffocating him. Now, she realized Ethan was no longer lonely. He truly had a family. "You were wrong," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "I'm sorry, my son," she said. The next day she returned. She brought a cake she had made herself, a simple cake, not elaborate, but the first sweet she had made in many years. She entered the house and placed the cake on the table. "Maya, Lily, Ethan, please forgive me. I want to live with you," she said. Lily ran over, unable to stand steadily because of her cane, hurriedly hugging her. "Grandma, will you live with us forever?" the little girl said happily. Clara, for the first time in many years, smiled sincerely, no longer angry or judgmental. "I will stay, my dear," she said gently. Ethan stood watching them, wiping away tears of happiness, looking at Maya's radiant smile and his mother's peaceful, loving eyes. At that moment, he understood that this house was warmed not only by the fire, but also by love and understanding. For the first time, in this house, he truly felt peace. He hugged Maya tightly, pulled Lily into his arms, and in his heart there was only one feeling. All the painful moments of the past, all the wounds, had led him here, to this family, to the happiness he had long awaited. Thank you for listening to the story. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss new videos. See you in the next videos.